Is it true that the Torah did not change, not even a single letter? The answer is yes. Is it true that there are textual variants to the Torah found? The answer is yes. The truth is, there are textual variants that are found regarding Tanakh. However, those textual variants are not found in the Torah that is read by Jews everywhere around the world. That Torah is the same, and it has been and always has been. And the reason why we know this is because the Torah found in Babylon, in Jerusalem, in Egypt, in Yemen, and then later in Europe, and then in China, and passed down when travel was difficult. There was no such thing as the internet, and it was exact letter for letter. So we know that it's the same. Further, the Talmud that was written over a 500-year period quotes the Torah letter for letter. Further, the New Testament, except for the parts of Tanakh where it tries to change certain grammar and gives textual variants to give its purpose of the Messiah, also quotes the Torah letter for letter. And even archaeology, every single time something from thousands of years ago is dug up and it quotes the Torah letter for letter. What about the textual variants? Why do they exist? First of all, this is Septuagint. Septuagint, the first 5 books of Moses, was written by Jews. The rest of Septuagint may have been written by Jews, but they were Hellenistic or they were Christian, so therefore we don't consider that like Jews translated it. The Talmud already deals with the fact that there are textual variants in the 5 books of Moses in the Septuagint, and it gives the reason for every single one of those variants. For instance, it says that the Jews were in Egypt for 430 years. It says in Septuagint they were in Egypt and other lands for 430 years. That's because they were in Egypt for 430 years, but it really went back dating from Abraham when he was still in Haran. So, since he was from Haran and in Canaan and in Egypt, so that makes it a little bit easier to understand. Contextually, you'll understand if you're the Torah. However, not everyone reads things contextually. So, therefore, to avoid confusion, certain changes were made. We also have the Dead Sea Scrolls. Now, the Dead Sea Scrolls come in 3 different categories. There's one that matches the Masoretic text word for word. There's one that matches the Septuagint, which we already dealt with. And then there's one where there are textual variants that are not found either in the Masoretic text or the Septuagint. One example is that it says the kingdoms are divided amongst those of the Most High as opposed to those of the children of Israel. Why would there be a textual variant in the Dead Sea Scrolls? What were the Dead Sea Scrolls? First of all, Dead Sea Scrolls were from the Qumran Jews, the Essenes. The Essenes were a sect of Jews that departed from the mainstream Judaism. They lived a very ascetic life. They lived in seclusion, and they were very strict when it came to certain laws, like purity laws. They did not marry, and they obviously rejected everything from the Sanhedrin. Now, they lived in seclusion, and they also had a lot of other texts that are not included or canonical to Tanakh. That shows that they clearly had reasons to have textual variants because they had their own ideas about Judaism. None of these Dead Sea Scrolls and textual variants come from mainstream Jews. So it was the Qumran Jews that changed the text to fit their narrative. Also, the Dead Sea Scrolls were found buried and in jugs. The reason why they would be buried or in jugs is because their rule. Holy manuscripts cannot be discarded like trash. They have to be either buried or put away in a respectful manner. The reason why they'll be buried and the reason why they would be put into jugs unlabeled and mixed up is because they were probably Geniza. They were these discarded manuscripts that had to be dealt with respectfully, even if they had mistakes in them. So therefore, what you're looking at when you see the Dead Sea Scrolls are mistaken texts. You're not looking at ones they used every single day, because if they used it every single day, those have already been worn out. Therefore, Jews around the world who read the Torah are very confident that their version of the Torah is letter for letter exact to what the Jews had during the first temple era. Any questions? Let me know.